the dragon who lived in the hollow tree once upon a time in the heart of the Whispering Woods. There stood an ancient oak tree so large that even the bravest adventurers could not wrap their arms around it. But this was no ordinary tree. It was home to a most unusual resident, a tiny dragon named Flicker. Flicker was not like the enormous fire-breathing dragons of legend. No, he was about the size of a house cat, with emerald green scales that shimmered in the sunlight and wings as delicate as a butterfly's. He had big, curious eyes and a mischievous grin that made the woodland creatures both adore and fear him. The hollow inside the tree was just the right size for Flicker. It was warm and cozy, lined with fallen leaves, feathers, and a few shiny trinkets he had collected. He loved his home, but there was one small problem. Flicker had a tendency to sneeze. And every time he did, a tiny flame would escape his snout. This was how the trouble began. One crisp autumn morning, Flicker woke up to find that the air was cooler than usual. He stretched his wings and let out a big yawn. And then achoo. A small burst of flame shot out of his nose and onto the pile of dry leaves that lined his hollow. Within seconds, the cozy nest was smoldering. Flicker yelped and flapped his wings frantically, trying to put it out. Fortunately, he had a small bucket of rainwater, which he used to douse the flames. But the damage was done. His home smelled of burnt leaves, and he knew he had to find a better solution before he accidentally burned the whole tree down. Flicker decided to seek advice from the wisest creature in the forest, Old Bramble, the tortoise who lived by the babbling brook. With a worried heart, Flicker flew down to the water's edge and landed beside Bramble's favorite sunning rock. "Mr. Bramble, I have a problem," Flicker exclaimed, his wings fluttering in distress. "Every time I sneeze, I set things on fire. I don't want to burn down my home. What should I do?" The old tortoise blinked slowly and chuckled. "Ah, young Flicker, fire is a part of who you are. But if you cannot stop sneezing flames, perhaps you should make your home fireproof. Fireproof." Flicker tilted his head. "How do I do that?" Bramble smiled wisely. "Seek the help of the beavers. They are excellent builders and will know how to keep your home safe." Excited by this idea, Flicker thanked Bramble and zoomed off to the beaver lodge at the pond. There, he found Benny the beaver gnawing on a thick branch. "Benny, I need your help," Flicker called. Benny looked up, his big front teeth gleaming. "What's the trouble, little dragon?" "I keep setting my home on fire when I sneeze. I need a way to make my hollow tree fireproof. Can you help?" Benny scratched his furry head and thought for a moment. "I can coat the inside of your hollow with a special mud that hardens like stone. Fire won't burn it. And we can line the floor with smooth river stones to keep it safe." Flicker's eyes sparkled with delight. "That sounds perfect. Thank you, Benny." For the next 2 days, the beavers worked hard, smearing the walls of Flicker's hollow with thick clay-like mud. When it dried, it was as hard as a turtle's shell. They also gathered smooth, round stones from the riverbed and lined the floor with them. When the work was done, Flicker stood back and admired his newly fireproofed home. It was safe, cozy, and even a little shinier than before. "This is amazing," Flicker cheered. "Oh, I won't have to worry about my sneezes." The forest creatures gathered to see the clever little dragon's new home, and they all cheered for him. Flicker, overjoyed, flapped his wings in excitement. Ouch! A small flame burst from his snout, but this time, it simply licked the hard mud walls and vanished. The beaver's work had done the trick. From that day forward, Flicker lived happily in his fireproof hollow tree, sneezing without fear and collecting even more shiny trinkets. He became famous as the little dragon with the warmest home in all the Whispering Woods. And so, whenever the wind rustled through the trees at night, carrying the sounds of crackling leaves and tiny dragon sneezes, the forest knew Flicker was safe, snug, and forever at home in his hollow tree. The story is end.